Eastern Conference Finals. I know it was
This is a little while ago.
a little while ago.
Well, it was actually Game 7 was happening during our last episode.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. It was 52-41 at halftime. That's where we left off.
You're exactly right. So, yeah, it took a 10-point lead, the Heat did, into the fourth quarter, and they cruised to a 104-83 win. Jimmy Butler had a Jimmy Butler game, 28 points, won the Eastern Conference MVP award. Did you see that he refused to touch the trophy?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, he touched the
Yeah.
MVP one. But Bam Adebayo was like, "Do you want to hold it?" And he's like, "No, I'll hold the next one," which I think, which I think is cold.
That's pretty
which
cool.
I think is ice cold, and I love it.
That's a Jimmy Butler thing to do.
Jimmy Butler thing to do for sure. Also, shout out to Caleb Martin, 28 points,
Huge series for him.
huge series, and he was moneying that game.
Yeah.
Which this game was a snooze fest.
Yeah.
This game, going Game 7, Celtics are down 0-3. They take it to a Game 7, which we said only at 4 teams before that were done. It was tough to see them take it this far and lose like that.
Yeah, just show up with nothing. Basically.
And yeah, they were probably gassed. I get it.
Yeah.
You're literally playing a Game 7 for 3 straight games, and you're trying to make it 4.
Right.
Or they did make it 4, but they lost.
Right.
Hated to see it because I thought the Celtics would be a better matchup against the Nuggets.
Paper-wise, yeah, I would agree with you.
But as we saw yesterday, the Heat tied the series up, and we'll get to that.
Right.
Tatum only had 14 points, but he did twist his ankle, I think, in the first couple minutes.
Yeah, it was early in the game. Yeah, it was just an ugly scene for Boston altogether. Jaylen Brown had a rough shooting night.
19 points on 23 shots. You
Yeah.
still want him.
I mean,
It's a bad game. A lot of players, unless you're really, really, really good, even those guys have bad games. Everybody has a bad game.
Right.
He just happened to have a bad game at the worst possible time.
Right. I mean, I think Jaylen Brown is a very good second best player on our team. I wouldn't build my team around him though solely.
A lot of people were giving this guy flack for his turnovers. They were talking about how he has no handle, and then I saw the replays, and it doesn't seem like he does.
Yeah.
So
maybe something to work on this offseason.
what he should be doing right now as we speak.
Dribbling.
What time is it in Boston? 9.
Just be
dribbling in his living room.
Yeah.
Doing something. Ask Steph Curry how to dribble or something like that.
He does that two-hand, two-ball drill.
Yeah.
Do that.
Don't be afraid.
All summer long, buddy. No shooting. No shooting drills. Just handles.
Just all handles. All handles. Boston for the game went 9 for 42 from 3-point range, doing their best Houston Rockets impersonation of 2017.
Yep. They did become that kind of live by the 3, die by the 3 team this postseason. Really all season, you could say.
And it worked out for them most of the season.
You can win, I think, a lot of games in the regular season because you can even have an off shooting night against a mediocre team and still win a game when you're talented.
You're not playing a playoff caliber team
Right.
for a month straight when it comes to the playoffs.
I always felt that you had to be willing to adjust on the fly in the postseason, and I don't think they really did that much.
So do you think it's time to make changes for the Celtics?
That's the big question.
I'm going no off the bat.
I'm going no as well. I think they need to get Jaylen Brown back. I think he's a free agent this year, or has an option to be a free agent, something like that.
I think you should keep the coach. I know Joe Mazzulla, people were giving him shit for not being down 0-3, but he did help them get back to tie it.
He's not a media darling, let's put it that way.
No, he's not.
No.
He kind of has crazy eyes.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's crazy eyes for me are, and I hate the term red flag, but they kind of are red flag.
Right.
This is a team that's been to the conference finals in the past, 5 times in the past 7 years or something like that?
Yeah, even when they haven't had teams that you would thought were a championship team, they're always in the mix,
They just keep it together.
Yeah.
Because unless you can get something better, and I don't know what you can get better than what they have.
Well, the thing I think about too is that the Warriors, when they finally won a championship, shouldn't say finally, but when they won a championship, those guys had been in the league for, like, you're talking Steph, had been in the league for like 7 years at that point.
And they didn't make a conference final like the Celtics did early.
No.
Until that first finals
they
run.
got to the second round one time.
They lost to the Clippers in the semis.
Yeah.
Right?
Or they lost to the Spurs in the semis the year before, and then
in 2014.
in 2013 lost to the Clippers in 2014 in the first round. And Vegas keeps piling it on.
4-0 Vegas.
And then when they fired Mark Jackson, brought in Steve Kerr, and then
That's when everything switched.
So that was a huge moment for them. But I think you also have to consider that star players take time to develop. Not a lot of guys are winning championships when they're 23, 24, 25. You know, I think Steph was 26 when they won the first one, maybe 27.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So.
Well, I guess what you're saying is it kind of seemed like once the Warriors got Steve Kerr, the right coach, it all worked out. Which
too.
You could debate what I
Maybe.
just said. You can go against it and
Maybe
say
that's what Boston needs.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, should they have gotten rid of Ime Udoka?
I don't think Brad Stevens really wanted to, but I think he felt the media pressure. When
I heard Greg Papa say that maybe they should try to get Brad Stevens back as the head coach.
I honestly thought that was a very real possibility.
I don't think it's crazy.
I don't know that he wants to do it though. I really don't think he wants to.
But hire somebody else as what he's doing. What is he, the GM?
He's something like that. Maybe they put him at president. I'm not sure. Yeah.
It's just I'm hard pressed to believe that if you're the Celtics, you're telling me that we have a guy who is a proven coach at the collegiate and the NBA level. You know, being the GM or whatever, higher up, that could do this and possibly get us to that next level.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to have that conversation with him.
Right. It is funny to think though that he never went to a finals, but Ime Udoka did in his first season.
Yeah.
I think they miss Udoka a lot. I don't know. It would be interesting to know what the players actually feel, because they're never going to get a real answer. But if they actually feel like there's a big difference in the locker room vibe and whatnot with Mazzulla versus Udoka, but yeah, I think patience is key, especially because you got to think too that guys that have been competitive in this league for a long time, like Durant and LeBron, they're not going to be a factor for too much longer. Giannis is there, but Giannis has seemed to need a lot around him for them to be competitive. I mean, they lost in the fucking first round this year to an 8 seed. not your average 8 seed, but still.
He was hurt for a couple of those games.
Yeah, I'll give him a little bit of a pass, but yeah, I don't think that there's.
But yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's not your average 8 seed, and he should be good enough by himself in the first round as a 1 seed to beat a team.
You would think, right?
Right?
Yeah, if they were really that good.
Exactly.
If they were really that good. Yeah. So yeah, I think the East is still pretty wide open, especially considering that an 8 seed is in the finals.
For only the second time?
Yeah.
Since the 99 Knicks?
Sounds like it, yeah. And it's like, who do you really trust in the East? Like, Philly? No. Joel Embiid's already going to be like 30 in a year or two.
If I'm talking about who I trust in the East right now, I'm going Boston. I think I'm going Milwaukee.
1-2. Or just as teams that you actually
just
trust.
teams that I trust.
Yeah. I like the Heat a lot, but I don't know. Like, there's still a question mark to me.
Well, that's funny because they're in the finals for the second time in the last
4 seasons?
3 seasons.
Well, the second time in 4. In 4.
Because you get 2020. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I believe it's wide open, and obviously with Durant now moving over to the Western Conference, Nets are not a factor anymore.
No.
Cleveland could be interesting, but I still think they're some development away.
The Sixers kind of feel cursed.
A little bit.
They just do. They just do.
Yeah. I think maybe it's just we think that it's Boston's time because they went to a finals and they've been very competitive, even with a young core. But there's just patience needs to happen, and you got to understand that maybe they're a couple years away still.
And if I'm Boston, I'm talking to the first person I'm talking to about wanting to trade Jaylen Brown is Jason Tatum, because he's the guy.
Right. And
you got to ask him, what do you think about Jaylen Brown?
Right.
Do you think that he is your true number 2? And I don't know what he would say, but it'd be hard for me to believe that he would say no, he's not.
Right.
Because he's a good player. He has more of that quote unquote dog in him
than
I think Jaylen Brown or than
Tatum
Jason
does.
Tatum
I agree with that 100%. That's why I do like Jaylen Brown a lot. And I like Jason Tatum, but I don't love him. That's where we're at with him. I think he needs to continue to develop his game. And Jaylen Brown does too. I think they both are at fault here.
Tatum almost has that every other game in the playoffs vibe that Anthony Davis has?
Very good point. No, I agree with that. 100%.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's kind of a nice comp that I'm
Yeah.
just thinking about. I heard the term every other Davis.
Yeah, I think you said that last week.
Did I?
Yeah, I fucking laughed. Every other Davis.
I didn't make that up. That's cold.
And unfortunately, a little bit true. Sorry, buddy.
How's that Budweiser treating you?
Oh, it's going down.
It's
So
good.
It's nostalgia in a can right here.
It's good.
Oh.
Anheuser-Busch, I support.
Yeah.